Hey guys, it's Kevin. We're back with another video. We're going to be talking about Necromancer Clicky items today for TLP servers. Please make sure to like the video if you like my content, and also please subscribe. I really appreciate that. Now this list isn't going to include every single item that Necromancers can use as a Clicky. It's going to include some of the most useful ones, and some of them aren't super useful, but they're still worth mentioning. It's maybe something that you want to pick up. And this list may change, so keep that in mind for the latest update on the list. Just make sure to check out the website. We're just going to start in Classic here, and then we're just going to go down the list all the way down to Eldon. So the first item we have is Black Ceramic Band. This is a right-click life tap. This is good if you're doing some charming, some charm killing. If you don't actually do any damage yourself to the mob while you're charming, you do not get full experience. This is like a easy way to tag the mob, and you don't have to get this if you don't want, but I find it's useful, and some other people do too. Next we have Journeyman's Boots. This is pretty straightforward. It's going to give you some increased run speed. Next we have Shield of the Immaculate. This is going to give you a Cure Disease Clicky that's instant cast. It's on a 1-second cooldown. Moving on to Kunark. The first item, this one's completely optional. Bracer of the Hidden. This will give you instant cast, See Invis. It is kind of rare, so you're probably going to do some farming for this, but it is kind of a nice little fun clicky to have, or if you need See Invis. Circlet of Shadow. This is going to be one of the most important items you can get as a Necromancer, or also as a Shadow Knight. Shadow Knights can wear this. This drops during the Kunark era, and I don't know exactly when it stops dropping, but it will stop dropping at a certain point, so you want to make sure you farm this as soon as you can. The good news is the item is tradable. But it's an instant cast invisibility, self-only invisibility spell. Next we have Demi-Lich Skullcap. This is a quest. It's going to give you a heal over time, and it's also the effect is a heal over time and a damage over time. This is optional too. The cast time on it is kind of long, so its uses are going to be limited in later eras, but it's still pretty good in Kunark, and overall it's a nice mana saver. You can pick this up. Next we have the Fungus Covered Great Staff. You want to get the pre-nerf one. Eventually the post-nerf one will start dropping, and this one will not drop anymore. And I think it probably stops dropping maybe at the end of the Kunark on TLP. I don't know exactly when it's going to stop, but you want to pick one of these up. These are really good because it gives you a regeneration effect. And I believe the regen effect is plus 15, so it's really good to counteract Lich. Next we have Goblin Gazagi Ring. You don't have to get this. The only reason I would recommend getting this is if you cannot get a Circlet of Shadow for some reason. You can use this to break charm pets instantly. That's really going to be the only use you get out of that. Mana Robe is another choice here. This comes from Trachanon. It's going to give you right-click mana in exchange for health. So if you're like on a mount, you can use this in combination with Lich, and you can really get mana back pretty quick. Nightshade Scented Staff. This is going to give you a right-click Scent of Darkness. The cast time on it is 8 seconds, so it's pretty long. But you can pick this up. You might find some uses for it every once in a while. Ring of Stealthy Travel is another option if you don't get this pre-nerf Circlet of Shadow. This will give you a 2-second cast Gather Shadows. And also this can be used to break charm pets also. Next you have the Necromancer 1.0 Epic. It's best in slot in the Kunark era, but it'll probably get replaced in Vilius. It does have a right-click snare on it, which also has a dot effect. Again, it's a 9-second cast time, so it's pretty long, but I think it's just a cool item. So you should always get your 1.0 Epic, I think, on any character you make. It's just a fun thing to have, and it looks cool. Next we have Shadin Revenant Bauble. This is a right-click Bobbing Corpse, which is kind of like Dead Man Floating, only Bobbing Corpse is self-only. Staff of the Dreaded Gaze. This is another optional item. It's right-click Invoke Fear. It's a 7-second cast time, so its uses are pretty limited overall, but it still might be good in Kunark, or you may find some scenarios where this comes in helpful. So next we'll move on to Vilius. The first item is Abashi's Rod of Disempowerment. This is going to be a rare drop from Vulak. It's right-click Abolish Enchantment, which will get rid of 3 debuffs at a time. This is really, really strong. I'd recommend picking this up if you can. but again, this is going to be rare and it drops off of Vulok. Bone Bracelet of Condemnation. This is a right click, Ignite Bones. So this is good maybe if you're out of mana and you want to do a little bit of extra damage. Probably nowadays it's not as useful as it used to be back when everybody was under geared, but a lot of people are really geared on TLP servers now. And since the cast time on this is 15 seconds, its uses are pretty limited, but it's still a fun toy. For some resist, you can get the Flowers of Functionality from Plane of Mischief. Each one will give you plus 50 to resists, depending on which one you have. And again, these are optional. You're going to have to do some farming to get the harder ones, but 2 of them are pretty easy to get. Next are Hallgresh Elder Beads, and this is another item that gets nerfed eventually. These drop from an Elder Hallgresh in the Awakening Land. These will like summon an Eye of Zom for you, and you can like life tap these Eye of Zoms. You can use them for scouting, so they're really nice quality of life item to have as a Necromancer. Polymorph Wand, Forest Fairy. I think I'm going to actually take this out of the list. There's Necros get plenty of levitate options, but this is a store-bought item. You can pick this up if you wish. Ring of Dane Frostweaver the 4th. This is a good item because it has damage shield, and the big thing on here for a Necro is the regeneration rate. It gives you plus 10 regen, and it doesn't stack with regular regen. I don't believe in like Chloroplast and stuff. Plast, whatever the regen one is, that will overwrite this if I remember correctly. But this is still a good item to have if you're soloing. It's going to counteract your Lich. And next we have some of the class armor sets from Velius. I chose to go with the Rotting set because if you notice on the robe, Conjure Corpse is a really big clicky here to have. And the casting time on the Rotting set, which is actually the Sky Shrine turn-in, where you get it from Halls of Testing, it's only 18 seconds on this robe, where the other 2 robes from, where are they at? From Thurgoden and Kale. If you choose to go with any of those, then those are going to have like a 25-second cast time or something on it. So I like to go with the Rotting set, and also I like the look of the Rotting set the best. But you can also get the legs, which give you right-click Pet Haste, and you can also get the boots, which will give you a right-click Invisibility versus Undead. Next we move on to Luckland. First item here is optional. Attuned Spire Shard. This will give you a clicky to go to the Dreadlands. Combined Gate move takes you over to the Wizard Spires. We have Bracelet of the Shadow Hive. This is a shrink item, and it has a 1-second cast time on it. And you can actually cast this on anyone in your group, so this is a really nice quality of life item. Next we have Bone Curse. This will give you a right click 250 direct damage for an 8-second cast. It's not too bad. It's better than the Bone Bracelet from Velcator because you can actually get this out faster. 8-second cast time is a little bit more reasonable, but it does have half the damage, so they're kind of similar. But this is a nice little pickup if you want to use it, but not required. Next we have Circle to Smoke. This will give you a right-click Gate. I try to get this on all my casters just because memorizing Gate is so annoying. And this is just like so nice. You can just click this belt and Gate right out of your inventory. We have Flowing Gossamer Cloak. And this is, again, if you can't get the Bauble from Chardock for some reason. One from Chardock's actually easier to get than this. So this here is completely optional, but it does have right-click Levitate on it. Next we have Gloves of Dark Summoning. This will give you a pet focus. It's probably best in slot for Necromancers during Luckland. And it also has right-click Reclaim Energy. Gloves of Warding, another optional item. Gives you right-click Resist Magic, which is plus 50 to all magic resists. Hoop of Emptiness will give you a 2-slot Dispel. This is optional. And it only has a 5-second cast time. Jade Skull Ring is kind of a similar item, only this one has a 7.5 second casting time, so it takes a little bit longer. Kodiak's Robe of Heightened Focus. This will give you plus 5 mana regen, and it's going to unlock like an AA that will give you that. Memory, this should not be in here, so I'm going to delete that out. This is from my other guide. Opaline Charm. This is another Gather Shadows option. For Necromancers, you're probably not going to end up getting this just because you have so many invisibility options from Kunark. But this will give you a 3-second cast time, Gather Shadows. Orb of the Lost Souls. This will give you a rune that gives you plus 3 mana regen. I don't know if Lich will eat through the rune or not. If it does, you're not going to want to get this at all. If it doesn't, this will be a good item to get, as you get an extra 3 mana regen. Ring of Immobilization. This is a right-click root, so this is going to be a really, really nice pickup. You can probably get that if you can. Ring of Resistance, not required. It gives you plus 10 all resists in the form of like an AA grant. Secret Band, Silver Band of Secrets will give you 250 to your max mana. It's not required, but it's a nice bonus to your mana pool. Wand of Filth. This will give you right-click Endure Disease with a 0.8 second cast time. I like to include this because the cast time on it is so low, but again, it's not required. And if I remember correctly, Necros actually get Resist Disease, so I might take this one out as well. Wand of Imperceptibility. This is a self-only shrink item. It has an 8-second cast time. Wristband of Secrets is the best dispelling item in the game. It will dispel 4 debuffs or buffs, and it will eat through them extremely quick. When you're doing 4 at a time, usually only got to cast it once, but you can just eat through things really fast with this. It's awesome, awesome item. And that would be only if you don't get the Abashi's Rod. Both this and the Rod are really rare, so get whichever one of the two you can. Zephyr Shroud of Despair will give you a right-click Splurt effect. This is really nice. I would pick this up as a high priority. And these last 2 items, they both do a self-only Sow. This is optional, but probably the easier of the 2 is these studded studded leather boots. Comes off of Lord Cyril, and a fairly common drop off of him, so this would probably be the one you go for. This one is fused whatever of Kadi Shah. You actually have to kill Kadi Shah for this, and he's a lot more difficult as a fight, and people don't kill him as often, so you're going to be better off with these leather boots down here. Moving on to Planes of Power. First we have Algae Covered Stiletto. This will give you a right-click Tiny Companion, and this will be replaced by a Plane of Time item, which we'll go over briefly. Bangle of Disease Warding. This is from the Crypt of Decay Alternate Access quest. This will give you a right-click Resist Disease, and it's an instant cast. Again, it's not required, but it's really easy to get some extra disease resist with this, and you can cast on other people too. Belt of Tidal Energy, I recommend getting this because it has some HP regen on it in the form of an AA, which will help counteract your Lich. Boots of the Mosquito is an optional item if you can't get the Circlet of Shadow. This is the best way in the game to break charms. It's better than the ring from Kunark because you don't actually have to, for that ring, you have to target yourself to cast the Invis versus Animals on it. This one you do not. You can just click this straight up. And again, this is only if you don't have the Circlet of Shadow. Next we have Celestial Cloak. This will give you a +5 hit point and mana regen in the form of an AA. Earring of Celestial Energy will give you 20 all resists in the form of an AA. I Have Dreams will give you 400 max mana in the form of an AA, and this will overwrite the Lucklin one, the ring from Lucklin. Manicle of Disruption. This is yet another Gather Shadows option. You probably won't end up needing this. Your goal with the Necro is always going to be to get Circular Shadow, but if for some reason you can't, this is another backup. Miracles, Greaves of Risen Souls. This will give you right-click Pyro Curer, which is one of your fire dots. I think it's the level 58 version, if I remember properly. Ocean of Limitless Time. This will give you a right-click Embracing Darkness. This didn't become good until you were able to click it from your inventory, but now that you can click everything from your inventory, this is really nice for a right-click snare. It's only a 3-second cast time on it too. Shaw of Eternal Focus of Forces. This will give you 5 mana regen. 5 hit point regen and 8 mana regen in the form of an AA, and it overwrites everything else. This is going to be your best in slot. Symbol of Ancient Summoning is another Tiny Companion item, and this will pretty much replace your Algae Covered Stiletto. This is a little bit longer of a cast time, but it's still only 3 seconds. But this has a pet focus on it as well, so you'll probably be wearing this at least when you summon your pet. The Binden Corn whatever. This is a POC gate item, and you can use this. You need to do a quest to get it, and if you want to bind yourself somewhere that's not in POC, you can use this to get in POC and kind of have a secondary bind point, so it's kind of a nice item to have. Veil the Inferno is not required. Just gives you plus 180 extra health. Vorshor's Plane of Blight. I would recommend getting this. This will give you right-click Shield of the Malon, which is your pop level shielding. It's really nice not having to memorize that, so I picked this up. And here is also, that's from the Ornate set, and then Vorshor's Robe of... Wait, do I have these mixed up? I have these mixed up. So the robe's here, the pants are here. I'm gonna have to change that in the on the website there. But you can get the pants. This will give you a right-click Rune of Death. Say a pet haste item, so I would pick this up as well. Wand of Impenetrable Force, right-click Force Shield. Really good pickup here. I would definitely recommend getting this. Wand of the Vortex is another dispel option. This will give you, other than if you don't have the rod from Vulak or you don't have the wristband of secrets from Ten Hara, you can get, this is the next best option. It's a 4.5 second cast annual magic. And lastly, we have Lost Dungeons of Norath. There's not a whole lot for Necromancers in this expansion, unfortunately, in terms of clickies. The first one, though, is Spirit of Wolf. This will give you a 3-second cast, Spirit of Wolf. You can cast this on anyone. This is a very unique item that you can cast on anyone like that. You can pick this one up. It's more of a toy, not required, but it will help you, and it is fun to use. And you can use Dark Phylacatory. And if you have the Dane Ring, I do not think this will stack with the Dane Ring, if I remember properly. But it has a right-click regeneration on it. You can cast this on anybody, so it's really cool. And lastly, we have Heretic's Hood of Darkness. This is another Rune of Death clicky, only this one is a 4.5 second cast time. So it's still better than the pants, the Ornate Pants, because it has a faster cast time, but it's the same spell, so it's not required. But anyways, that should cover everything. If this was helpful, please make sure to like the video and please subscribe. All right, thanks guys. Bye.